Hello, hello, hello. All right. So you're going to notice if you're watching this that I am in my office space, my temporary office space, as we had to shut my studio down because I'm getting ready to pack it up and do a little bit of downsizing. So I got my studio all set up in the house and then decided to still downsize and I had to pack everything up. So now that fancy sign, everything, it's all packed in my garage and I'll be doing these podcasts for now from my office and then also wherever I happen to be over the next couple of weeks or months or however long it takes to make these next changes in this chapter. All right, so today I want to talk about something different. I have not talked about this before. A couple weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago or so, I put a post out about dangerous things to pay attention to that sometimes you'll hear in business. And that's on Instagram. You can go back and look at it. We did a nice carousel with it. But it got me thinking even more about some of the most dangerous things you're going to hear from coaches, advisors, colleagues, and yourself, and yourself. So I thought we would go through and just share some of these. I've got nine, and part of this has been inspired because I got to work with an incredible leadership team today. And it was local. Oh, you guys, we're doing these new things now. I have decided I'm gonna do a little tangent. It's a little bit of a tangent and a commercial. This podcast is brought to you by this commercial. So I have started to do something very special with teams, which is to um, work with teams and to do miniature sessions for 90 minutes. So 90 minutes, the world is worlding right now. Companies are very busy, teams are very busy. However, you can get so much done if everyone is present and if the content is framed in the right way. And so I got to do one of those this morning. I got to do it locally, actually in Sacramento with a company that I just absolutely adore. Their CEO is phenomenal. I've been in to work with them in the past, and they said, "Can you please come back and do another session with us?" So I got to do it this morning. And one of the things that we talked about was some of the things that I have on this list. And I did not plan this morning to do this list for you, but it's fresh, so I want to dive into it and do it today. So anyway, if you're interested in doing one of those sessions with your team, please reach out. I am laying a little bit low on some of my normal work of how I work out in the world with companies for the next couple of months. But I am doing these sessions locally. I am doing them virtually. And, if it's right and the stars align and everything lines up right and it feels like it's a good use of everyone's time, I will come to you. Or you can come to me. So anyway, okay, there you go. Commercial over. All right, here you go. So, nine of the most dangerous things you'll hear in business from coaches, advisors, colleagues, and yourself. Okay. First of all, nobody is giving you this advice because they're evil or bad or don't care about you. In my experience, most advice is given with really good intentions. And sometimes the advice is given because the person who's giving it is often giving it through their own projections or they're giving it through obviously their experience or they're not fully aware of your context. And as I've mentioned many times now on this podcast, the only people that are aware of your full context, your heart, what your business is going through, your financial situation, your emotional state, what you've done, who you've hired to help you with strategy, the only people that are aware of that have the full picture, are you, yourself, and God. So I just want to plant that right here, right now. That was one of the biggest learnings I had over the last couple of years was I was hiring so many different people to help get through certain things in the business and to scale the work in certain ways and to do PR in certain ways. And everybody I know, and I believe very deeply, brought their best. And what I realized is that nobody had the full context. So it's kind of like moving a bunch of puzzle pieces around. And there were a couple things that I heard over and over and over again, which, as I often do, I kind of put them in my back pocket. And as I look back at them now, when those things were said, those were red flags for me. Those were moments where I should have paused, taken a step back, and looked at this. So I want to start this by just saying nobody intentionally gives bad advice. you have to be absolutely responsible for your discernment when you listen to advice. You have to be responsible. You have to listen to your body. You have to listen to your intuition. Nobody knows you better than you. Nobody. God knows you better than you. That's it. So, that major plug there. Next commercial. This podcast is brought to you by listening to yourself, please. Um, and that being said, here are your 9. So, first one, this thing, and I hear this all the time, act as if you already have the money. We're going to need to spend money to make money. So we're just going to act as if we have all the money in the world and we're just going to go for it. What I have noticed with that one is that when people act as if they have all the money in the world and they're going from an abundance mindset, which is wonderful, sometimes that means they're going to overspend and they're writing checks with their pocketbook and their mouth that eventually their butt is not going to be able to cash, because if they get too far out in front of themselves and they're acting as if they have all the money in the world, when something crashes or something goes off the rails, uh, they may find themselves in a real pickle. So let's do it this way. The first one is act as if you have all the money and resources. Okay, I'm going to come back. I'll go through these one at a time. The second one is you're 2 feet from gold. Just keep going. You're 2 feet from gold. Just keep going. Just keep going. You're 2 feet from gold. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Go listen to that one. I'll come back. Number 3, you're just outside your comfort zone. I see this all the time. Somebody's feeling out of alignment. They're not feeling good. I've had this happen for myself, obviously. They're not feeling good about something, but they're being coached, and their advisor or their coach or whoever is just their consultant is just pushing. You're just out of your comfort zone. Just keep going. Just keep going. You're just out of your comfort zone. Because there's a reason why comfort zones exist, and there's a reason why your body tells you when you're not comfortable. We'll come back to that. Number 4, and this is similar to the first one, but you have to spend money to make money. So I'll break this down a little bit more when we go back through. Number 5, you got to hustle harder. Just pick up the phone, push, 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 hustle harder, hustle harder, hustle harder. We talked a lot about this morning. There is a way that you can hustle, and there's a way you can do it in a way that's humane, and there's a way that you can do it in a way that's going to take yourself off a cliff. So we'll talk about that. Number 6, universe has your back. You can manifest this. Mm. Coming from a recovering manifester, we'll talk about this a little bit more. Um, there's another one. Just walk away. Just if it gets hard, just walk away. You can just default. Just walk away from it. That's what other people do. Other people would handle it this way. Why don't you just handle it that way? That's a dangerous one. Another one is fake it till you make it. Okay, fake it till you make it. Okay, I got a lot to say about that. In my circle and in my with my clients, our students, anybody who I can get in a room with, we're not faking it till you make it. We're not going to do that. We're not faking it till you make it. I have more to say about that. We'll come back. And then the final one is I have the answers. I know exactly what you should do. I have the answers. I know exactly what you should do. They may have some really good answers. Nobody knows what you should do. They don't. So I think, at the highest level, this podcast, this episode is about you really listening to yourself, really, really listening to yourself, and getting really, really clear so you're more discerning about the advice you take. Okay, so let's go back to the first one. First one, act as if you already have the money and the resources. So I started to talk about this one. Let me just say this to close this one out. I think it's incredibly important to be really, really conscious about what your financial reality is when you're running a business, when you're running a division, when you are running a household, a family. Um, I will be totally transparent. I have been involved in coaching and mastermind programs since, oh my goodness, I'm going to say 2007 officially, maybe even earlier than that. Probably even earlier than that, but the first recollection I can get of this concept of just act as if you have the money, just act as if you have it, just if you spend it, it will come. If you build it, it will come. This idea of a lot of times where coaches will charge a lot of money to be in their mastermind, and then part of the game is that they're then having their clients charge a lot of money for their people to be in their masterminds, and it becomes like this ripple effect. But I can remember the first time this was said to me, and um, I actually had to do mindset coaching around it because I was like, I don't think that that feels right. Like I don't, but I don't have the money. Like my business doesn't have this money yet. And it was like, well, no, 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 no. That's a scarcity mindset. You have to have an abundance mindset. So here's the thing. I'm all for an abundance mindset. I'm all for rewiring and reframing and renewing our minds every single day to look at where are we being scarcity, where are we being abundance. I'm all for abundance mindset. And there is a very important um, element of stewardship that I think is really important in our businesses, no matter how big or small they are. Whether you're just getting started right now or you are knocking out of the park and you're running a humongous organization, you want to look at your finances and the revenue and whatnot very realistically. So have an abundance mindset and also be aware of what's true and be wary of anybody, including yourself or your friends or your brother or your sister or your dog that tells you to act as if you have the money and then it will show up. Um, yeah, I will keep going from this one. The next one is you're 2 feet from gold, just keep going. I stayed in an experiment over the last couple years. We're out of it now. We've cleared it. Whew, you guys have heard me talk about this before. I've written about this. I've been very transparent about this in service of trying to help other people see warning signs for themselves before they're heading into a experiment that may or may not be in alignment with what they're up to. But I stayed in an experiment for probably a lot longer than I should have, because what I kept hearing was I was 2 feet from gold. And then I started to believe it, and I started to think, "Okay, wait, if we just hold on, if we just push a little bit more here, we just do a little bit more here. Okay, let's just get over this bridge. If we just do this, we're 2 feet from gold." And my fear okay, so I heard that, I bought into it, I adopted it, I got into my mindset, and then that became my thinking. Um, and then what happened was I started to make decisions as if we were 2 feet from gold, which created a whole other element then of financial commitments and, holding on to infrastructure that longer than we needed to, and tolerating, certain things in engagements that I would never have tolerated before, but I was tolerating because I thought, "Well, we're so close. If we can just get through this, we'll get to the other side, and then it'll make a lot more sense." So this 2 feet from gold, you just wanna check it. It may be very well true. You may be 2 feet from gold, and if you are, that is fantastic, and yes, of course, you don't wanna quit too soon, but I will only say for myself that there were several times that I felt that I was forcing the belief of 2 feet from gold. I could feel it, and I'll bet if you're really honest with yourself, you know the difference too. I know I can feel in my system the difference between when it's like, "Okay, we're almost there. Just keep going. Stay focused. Stay in stewardship." Stewardship and devotion, by the way, you guys, is the way that I, have learned now to find my right energy centers when I'm making decisions in my discernment. It's like, am I stewarding this appropriately? Am I really in devotion? Or am I in a state of hustle and pushing and um, hope? Right. So, you want to pay attention to when you're sticking with something because you don't want to give up too soon or you think you're 2 feet from gold. You got to check in and just tell yourself the truth. And, here's the thing, if you decide not to do it, nobody's really going to care. We think that people care. Nobody cares. I mean, obviously, be conscious of the way you handle things, but it's like, if you're just doing it because you don't wanna let anybody down because 'cause you're afraid that you're 2 feet from gold and you're gonna quit too soon, don't worry about it. You gotta pay attention to yourself, and I have learned, especially over the last year, to really go and consult with God about this one. Um, he's quite an incredible business advisor, I have to tell you guys. So, 2 feet from gold, just be careful of that and make sure that that's really yours and what you believe. Listen to your body. Somatics are really, really important in business leadership. This is why presence, you guys, this is why I stand so strongly for your presence and for only moving as fast as you can stay in alignment with yourself. Because if you're really present and you're staying connected to what's important to you and you're being aligned with you, nobody is going to be able to force you to do something that is not in alignment for you. Nobody. So, okay, 2 feet from gold. All right, number 3, you're just outside your comfort zone. Here's the thing, comfort zones, yes, we always wanna be growing. I said to the group I was working with this morning, like, our ability to lead and to grow other leaders is directly related to our ability to be comfortable with our discomfort. So, for example, if I'm going to give somebody feedback and I'm really like scared to do it, I'm going to go give a talk and I'm scared to do it, or we're doing an organizational initiative and I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. I've never done this before. That's discomfort. Okay. That's a healthy discomfort. I'm a little scared. Like, I want to do a really good job. I'm a little nervous. That's my discomfort. That is a healthy discomfort, which the more comfortable I can be with my discomfort, then the more I'm going to grow in my leadership. The discomfort I'm talking about here, when somebody says you're just out of your comfort zone, keep going. I'm talking about the discomfort where you feel sick to your stomach and it's not in a good way. And if you start to pay attention to your physiology, I will bet you know the difference. In fact, I'll bet you guys know the difference. The stuff I'm talking about, you know the nuance. I'm just putting words to it, but it's like um, your comfort zone and your feeling of discomfort is there for a reason. It's supposed to be uncomfortable and feel bad if you're going in the wrong direction and you're tolerating things you should not be tolerating. So watch out for that one. You're just outside your comfort zone. Really watch out for that one if somebody wants to then do a little bit of like coaching for you on it, some NLP work, some therapy on it. The last thing I want to see for you guys is that somebody is coaching you out of your discomfort when actually your discomfort is very valid. Um oh yeah, I have so much more to say about that, but we're going to leave it there. So pay attention. Is your discomfort the good kind where you're growing and you know it, or is it the kind where it's there because intuitively you know you were on the wrong path, you were doing the wrong thing, and do not let anybody coach you out of your discomfort. Okay, number 4, you have to spend money to make money. This one's pretty, I talked about this at the very beginning. I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory, but it's like, here's the question I've been living in lately. And I have really been loving this realization I've had. So my company, we had huge infrastructure. We had a very fancy app that I was spending a ton of money on every year in terms of the actual licensing, the design, the team that was required to keep it going. Um, you know, we spent a lot. And one of the things I started to notice was that where we were having the most impact had nothing to do with how much money we were spending. In fact, the money that we were spending, we were having very little impact there. And the clients that we were actually attracting to that were actually kind of not the right aligned clients for us. So the clients that we were attracting were the clients that were checking things off the box. Ooh, fancy infrastructure, fancy app, fancy compliance, fancy this, fancy that. The clients that have been the best clients were like, "Anise, we just don't care about that stuff. Like, we just want the work. We just wanna do the work. We want you. We'd rather have your attention. We'd rather have the cost savings passed on to us as opposed to spending a bunch extra and having you be really, really expensive to bring your stuff in because you have such big infrastructure." So, this whole spend money to make money thing, that may be true, like, yes, you have to invest. I'm 100% into investing in yourself. I'm 100% into making sure you're investing in your company, of course. But you just wanna watch it. You wanna watch the intention behind it. You wanna watch again, there's that word stewardship and devotion. My new game lately has been to play with how little can I actually spend, and how much can I lean into what's been built, and how much can I lean into my presence and my team's presence as our impact. How much can we lean into the work being such a high quality and the results being so good for people that we don't need to spend a bunch of money to, like, do a bunch of foofy stuff? And I will tell you that the more I do that, the more, free I feel, and from a financial standpoint, it's much better. So we now have been able to do things like offer a membership, which I could never do before at this price point because our overhead was so high. But now we can offer a membership at a much lower price point for people so more people can have access to this work. And it's just not all fancy. We let go of like the fancy app, but we still have our platform, and it hasn't hurt us. It hasn't hurt us. So, your presence is your impact. For me, my learning was, okay, great, we're doing all this fancy stuff, but really, what really matters is that I'm present with the work, I'm present with the people, and I give as much as I can. Do they need to have fancy designs and decks and infrastructure in order to get them? No. In fact, the people who are really diehards, who really wanna do the work, they're coming if I show up with a paper bag over my head because they really want the work. So, just notice that where you might be spending money to make money that you don't need to be, um, use discernment. Just use discernment. Okay, gotta hustle harder, pick up the phone, push, push, push. I don't think I really need to say a lot about that one. We talked about that this morning. My preference is human over hustle and that you have grit with grace. So go for it. Like, make stuff happen, of course. But I think hustle is done. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. I see it all the time. I can't even get on social media without seeing people talking about hustling, although that's stopping because I'm stopping engaging in those, like, I'm not getting as much on my algorithm anymore about the hustle. But I will just say, I think that human and being present and really being discerning about what you're going to put your attention into is so much more, pleasurable for the nervous system, and I think it's so much more effective for your people. Your people, your clients, your team, they don't need you hustling and pushing and pushing. They need you devoted. They need you devoted. So, you know, watch the push. Just watch the push. Here's another place to watch out for. If you're doing something and it's not happening, I've had this happen, where it's like something's not happening. And the reason it wasn't happening is because I was out of alignment. I mean, I'll just be super transparent. This experiment we ran, I was wildly out of alignment. Could I make the thing happen? Yeah. Was I out of integrity? No, not at all. But could I make the thing happen? Sure. Was it what my heart knew I needed to be doing with certain things in the company? It wasn't. It was a big should. It was something that I got the idea in my head from somebody else because I abdicated that, where I thought, "Okay, I must this is important. I should do this. I should do this." So I was hustling, and the more I hustled to make that thing happen, the harder I had to push, and the feedback I kept getting was, "You just gotta hustle harder. You gotta hustle harder." Is that because that person's bad for telling me that? No, not at all. That's their experience, not my experience. I will never do that again like that. So, invaluable lesson, but I just wanna invite you guys to, like, really pay attention. Is it hustle? Is it devotion? Sometimes, sometimes, like, I had this session this morning, and they just booked it 2 days ago. Was there a little bit of hustling to, like, get everything ready? No, there wasn't, because what it was for me was I got into the energetic state of devotion. The old me would have hustled. I'd be like, "Okay, we gotta do this thing. We're good till 11 o'clock tonight, and we're gonna push this through, and okay, team, gotta get a fancy deck." Instead, it was like, "Okay, I will totally be there. I can't wait to be there. It's not gonna be fancy. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna have a good plan for us, and I'm gonna do it from a state of devotion." And it's one of my favorite sessions I've ever led so far. It was really lovely. More of that, please, universe. Okay, speaking of the universe, number 6, the universe has your back. You can manifest this. I believe that we're always being guided and protected. I do. I don't believe that we manifest things. I mean, this is a bigger one. You have to be careful with thinking that you're able to manifest everything, and you have to be careful to think that universe is gonna have your back if you just think happy, happy thoughts and really abundance thoughts that's just gonna be taken care of. No, you actually have to work from a place of devotion. I have really, come to trust that the only like, what's got my back is God's got my back. Um, I'm gonna, if I stay in alignment with my assignment, I will continue to move forward in the most productive ways. I believe that I'm always covered. Um, but I don't believe that I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna manifest everything because I'm that powerful that I can create things, I can make all the stuff happen around me. I just don't believe that anymore. I used to believe that, you guys. I did. I used to believe that. I don't believe that anymore. And I'm really glad I don't. Um, it's been very good for my nervous system. I mean, if you think about that, if you aren't responsible for making stuff happening and manifesting it, and if you don't have to be so powerful that you can move mountains and make all the things happen in your business, and there's a bigger thing at play that's actually making that happening, it's not all up to you, that actually takes a lot of pressure off. The way that I hold it now is that I'm doing my work, but my work is given to me through God. This is one of my assignments. Like, this is what I was gifted with, the awareness that I have around people and presence and stuff that gets in the way of leadership. Like, those are some of the things I was gifted with. And so, like, I'm here to share it. I'm here to do as good as I can with it. I'm here to steward that gift, but I'm not going to manifest and make it all happen. That's gonna come from a place of me being in devotion and listening and fulfilling upon my assignment. And then God's gonna handle the rest of it. Okay, number 7. This is a long list. I should have broken this down into 2 episodes, but we're almost there. Number 7 is just walk away. There was a point last year when I was really in the thick of it, and I did not know what I was gonna do. I did not know what I was gonna do. The company had gotten into a financial pickle. I had never experienced that in 24 years of business, and I literally had people tell me, "Just walk away. It's no big deal. Just walk away. Just leave it. Just walk away. Just ditch it." And, it just didn't feel good to me. It didn't feel right to me. That may be right for other people. I'm not making it wrong, but for me, it did not feel right in my system. I could tell it was gonna be one of those things that, if I just walked away, I would know that I hadn't put my all into it. I would know that for me, I was out of alignment. And I also was very much aware that every single decision I made that got us to that point where we were in that pickle, I had made those decisions. As the CEO of the company, I made those decisions. And so, you know, when people were saying, just walk away, well, I understand that they may have seen that, they may have done that. They probably have really good reasons for saying that. It wasn't alignment for me. So I offer this as point number 7 because I want to just offer you the pause. If people are telling you what to do with your business, if they're telling you to walk away, if they're telling you to do something that doesn't feel right to you, to give yourself full permission to pause and to look at, okay, well, what does feel right to you? What does feel right to you? Maybe it's a hybrid of that. Maybe it's creating some other kind of solution. Maybe it is walking away. Maybe that is right for you. But I just want to invite you to pause and to not take on other people's stuff as your to do. Just to really be careful with that. All right. Number 8, fake it till you make it. This one is, I think, one of the ones that I probably work with people the most, or not the most, but highly. We talked about this morning too. Fake it till you make it. This is where people just say, you have imposter syndrome, you don't feel qualified, you gotta like pretend to be something you're not. So you fake it till you make it. And in my experience, this is actually what creates a big nervous system dysregulation, creates burnout, and it creates imposter syndrome. Because if you're faking it till you make it, there's a little piece of you know that you're not ready for it. And therefore trying to pretend like you are when you're not, um, that's incongruent. And that energy is felt by other people, even if they don't know what it is, and it's felt by you. And so this fake it till you make it, I believe, is actually what will wear you out faster than anything else. So my invitation is, instead of faking it till you make it, if you absolutely have to, you can faith it till you make it. FAITH, faith it, which is, where you have the faith that you're going to be okay and you trust your higher power to carry you through it. Like, you could do that if you need a bridge. But the other way to do it is just to be so present to yourself, to what's in front of you, and to be so coming from a place of service and clean intentions to do your very best that you don't have to fake it. If you're in alignment, if you're in service, and if you're present, you don't have to fake it. In fact, from that place, you can say, I'm not totally confident about this thing that's happening or what I'm stepping into. I'm a little nervous about it. You could say that. You don't have to fake it. And if you're hanging out in a room where you don't feel like you can say that, you want to look at that too and check, is that true? Um, some of the most powerful things I've seen happen in teams and companies has been when the leader has said, you guys, I like, every day I'm hoping I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. And it just kind of opens up this vulnerability, it opens up this humanity in the group where people are like, oh, my leader's a human too. So don't fake it. You don't have to, you know, puff up and fake it. You just be in it, stay real. And if there is something where you're really feeling like you have to force it and fake it, and you're pushing your way into something and it's not feeling right, then pause, take a step back. Is there something else you need to learn? Is there something else you need to do to be prepared? How can you be in that room or be in that situation and be really honest and effective in what you're doing. If I wanted to go and be an astronaut right now, I would have to fake till I make it. Well, I would need to learn how to be an astronaut. Well, guess what? I'm probably not going to do that. So, but you get the idea. Like if I wanted to go and I don't know, do some skill that I'm not, if I want to go be a CPA right now, okay, I would have to fake it until I made it and I'd be making a lot of mistakes. And so why would I even do that to myself? And why would I do it to anybody else? So just pause there, give yourself an opportunity to take a look at it and what skills do you need to do? If I want to be a CPA, I better go to CPA skill and get better at being a CPA, right? So then I can be real about it. So just watch yourself there. And then the last one is when somebody says to you, I have the answers, I know what you should do. I'm just going to end on this note. Nobody knows what you should do. Nobody knows. You are the only one that knows what you should do. Do people outside of you have great wisdom for you and expertise? Absolutely. My invitation to you is to be very discerning and to never, ever override what you sense is right. Now, there's a difference between me just being stubborn and ignorant and arrogant. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that because my ego doesn't want to do that or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm going to figure it all out by myself. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I have something to figure out. I hire somebody or I get input from a colleague and they tell me what they think I should do. I'm going to take that information and I'm going to put it in a pot of information and then I'm going to make a decision with discernment of if that is the right thing or maybe there's a piece of it that's right. But I'm not going to let their input overwhelm me so I get off track and go against myself. One of the things I'm talking about in this whole episode is really this idea of not abandoning yourself in your leadership. It's not abandoning yourself. That's probably even that's interesting. That's another conversation we can have here, but this idea of staying with yourself, having your own back, staying present with yourself, not abandoning yourself because somebody else tells you to do something or they tell you you should feel a certain way or they're having an experience or they've had the experience so they project it on you. This is just about being really conscious about it. You know, I I take input from outside experts and colleagues all the time. What I get better and better about, thank God, is I'm have been starting over the last couple of years, I've started to be able to see more quickly, like, yes, this is for me. No, this isn't for me. Yes, this makes sense for me. No, this doesn't make sense for me. So anyway, that's what you got to do. I mean, I think that's what you got to do. Now, again, I'm telling you what to do. So you guys have to decide what of this from this episode do you actually want to take on? And my invitation to you is if there's something in here that resonated for you, that you just pick the one, just start to notice and let me know in the comments. How did this land for you? I know I covered a lot. That was a lot. That was too much. I won't do a 9 list again. But I did want to just offer these for fun and we'll leave it there for today. So thank you as always for being here. Please like, subscribe, share, review. You guys, your reviews, your feedback, your notes that I get from you, they mean a lot to me. Thank you for that. They really help me also think about what else I want to do with the podcast and how I want to do it. Of course, we're still just getting started. So thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. Thanks for caring about leadership and how you show up. And we will see you on the next one. Bye.